Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, John Williams. Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another Persevering as an Introvert episode on Bravery Within. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing. I have the absolute best fans out there, aka my extended family. I can't thank you enough there for tuning into all my episodes. And I'm hoping that you're enjoying the Introvert episodes as much as I enjoy bringing them to you. I'm hoping you're getting something out of these podcasts, even if it's the weight loss series or the Hodgepodge series, which I haven't done a whole lot with because I'm still working on trying to get our 4th series going, but I'm hoping someday to get that one going, and it'll give you guys another subject to listen to, and hopefully it'll help some folks out there. But as of today, we're going to stick with the Introvert series, and as you all know, this is near and dear to me since I also am an introvert, and I know lots of people out there are probably saying, Sean, you talk on the radio, I don't understand how you can be an introvert. Well, I'm isolated from talking to people face to face because really I do that all day. I'm a purchasing agent, so I work with so many department heads and I work with people, and there's so many good people that I get to work with. It's amazing. There's so much fun. We have so much fun. We poke at each other, we laugh, we joke. If there's problems, we help each other out to get ourselves through. And this is all kind of leading up to today, which is episode 9, the difficulties of opening up. We all know as introverts we're very, very private. We're very, very closed off, which can actually make things very, very difficult for opening up. To kind of let you know and stuff there, I wasn't always closed off like what I am today. And I'm going to be honest, is leading into this episode and stuff there, this one's actually kind of a hard one for me because it's kind of, I don't like the do as I say, not as I do type of adage and stuff there. Everything that I say, I try to do my very best of. And with all that I have went through over the years, opening up for me is actually very, very difficult. I'm a big people person. I can talk to anybody. You name a subject, I can pretty much jump into it. I mean, I may not be the best or the most knowledgeable in the subject, but most of the time I can get myself through them to talk to somebody. But the actual opening up, when you start talking about getting into like the deep emotions, the deep personal tragedies, the negatives, the positives, everything that you have gone through in your life, that's a whole different level when it comes to opening up. And I mean, you talk at work and you have small talk and you do what it takes there to get through the day and jabber with people. And like I said, I work with a lot of good people, and I'm really proud of who I get to work with because they're all amazing. They're all trying to do the best jobs that they can. They show up every day. They put their 8 hours in and they're working the whole time. It's amazing. They're an amazing group, and I wish I had the time to lay out every person that I get to work with. But there's so many people that I work with that I would end up burning up the whole podcast just naming off names. But I'm lucky to work with these people. But when it comes to, actually opening up, that's, for the most part, there's stuff, I keep everything there locked up. And that's my introvert side. That's my management side that I've talked about a few times there in all the podcasts about you just don't really share who you are and what makes you who you are with just everybody. When I was younger, and I admit when I was younger, I pretty much was an open book. There wasn't anything that people didn't know, mainly because I grew up and I didn't have many friends, I'll be honest. And the ones that I did have, they were more concerned about talking to me than I was to them. And I learned at a very young age that I actually am a better listener than I am a talker. That's probably why I wanted to become a school counselor. I started college to become a school teacher. I wanted to help kids. I wanted to walk them through when they're going through difficult times. I had plenty of kids as my son was growing up that would stop by the house and they would have questions or they needed things or something was bothering them. And I would help them through it. I would do the best that I could there to try to help them. And I've always found it more comfortable to listen to people's problems and come up with a solution to try to help them. And sometimes they're not looking for a solution. They just need somebody to talk to. Basically, they need to vent and get it off their chest. And that's one thing that I probably excel at. So, talking to everybody, you don't have to really talk about yourself. And I think it's kind of a protective step. It's kind of like a wall, so that way you don't have to show off. They don't get the chance to know you. Let's say it that way. They don't get the chance to know what makes you you. And to me, I always found it, I guess, more of as a defense mechanism to keep people at bay, so that way they couldn't learn something about me and then use it against me down the road. And that has happened so many times. I can't even count. I mean, I would need a calculator to probably try to figure it out, because let's be honest, I'm not real good at math. So it's like, I'll just stay away from that one there. But just trust me that I've opened up to people in the past, and then they go and they use it against you. So it makes it very difficult to open up. And in this cold, cruel world that we live in anymore, which is really, really sad, because we have such potential as the human race to go far and do great things and propel our species forward, and maybe even move out into the stars and meet other species and learn from them. But the problem is, as we stand right now, it's just not happening, and it breaks my heart, because it's like all this potential that is just not happening. And I know we could do it. I know as a species we could do it. We just have to come together. But okay, I'm off on a tirade, and I'm off track again. And I'll probably squirrel a few more times trying to get through this episode, because this one actually is difficult for me to talk about. But I wanted to talk about it because one thing that I've learned by doing these podcasts and talking to all you kind folks out there is it helps me through some of the ups and downs that I have went through. It's helped me to understand certain things all the way around. So basically talking to you, even though I don't get to hear you guys talking back to me, and I don't get to see your facial reactions and everything there, it still helps just jabbering with you guys there, because it kind of helps me through everything that I'm going through as well. So but I have to admit, probably one of the scariest questions or comments, I guess it's really not a question, but it's more of a comment that gets said is, let's go around the room and tell a little bit about ourselves. I gotta be honest. Every person that has ever told me that there when I'm sitting in meetings, I'd like to get up and just punch them right in the nose. It's like, that's not even. I'm not interested in telling you about myself. I'm not interested in talking about my birthday, anything like this. It takes some people years to break through before they get the clearance to access what makes me me, to find out, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that goes right along with knowing somebody. To me, that's very intimate. And that's something that I don't do very well anymore. I have been burned so many times, and I'm sure you have too. I mean, every rose has its thorn. Poison sang that so very well, and it's a very true song. And all I can say there is like, once you start getting burned so many times, there's only so many times that you can put your hand in the fire and you start to learn, okay, well, maybe that's not such a good idea. And it's not a great way of going through life, but you get to a point, especially as an introvert, it's very, very hard to open up. We do it very slowly. And I don't know if you guys do it the same way too there, but to me, I'll tell a story, but I won't tell the whole story. Or I'll tell it may be right from a certain point of view, but it may not be 100% truthful. And I know that's not right, but you get burned so many times, and you get so sick and tired of hurting and trying to basically lick your wounds constantly after you've trusted somebody with some intimate knowledge of yourself, something that's really, really personal, that it could have been a tragedy. It could have been something that it took you years to get over, or years to even just put a band-aid on it. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be a failed marriage, like the one that I had and stuff there. I still regret that. I still wonder from day to day, did I do enough? Could I have done more, for the relationship or for my son or anything like that there? And that's all things that goes through your mind. So opening up to me is very, very intimate. It's kind of like when I talked about the music and stuff there, and I talked about the playlists that I have, and I don't share all my playlists with everybody. There's very few there. I still have a couple I don't share with anybody because they're so personal. Because to me, when you're talking about a playlist, it's very, very intimate, because those songs are what make you you. Especially when you get into the slow songs and the lovey-dovey songs, you have the heartbreak ones that are in there. Well, most of the time that I've learned is when somebody starts playing a song, when they turn it up or they hit repeat, there's something important to that song, and there's something important that either that they went through, whether it's good or bad. Most of the time, if you're listening to the sad, sappy songs, something bad happened, unfortunately. So to me, it's kind of like you're getting to know that person on an intimate level, and the lyrics mean something, the beat of the music means something, all together. So that's another level of opening up. And like I said, I don't share all my playlists with everybody. I mean, I have my generic ones that I listen to on Pandora at work, and then I have the generic ones that I listen to at home. So if somebody does come over, they're hearing my generic playlist. About the only time that I play certain playlists is when I'm by myself driving through the hills, and I can crank it up on my stereo in the truck, and I can just sing along, whether it's an upbeat one or it's a low one there where I'm really, really down and I need to pull myself through something. But to me, that's just another part of opening up to a person. If I'm willing to share my sensitive playlists with you, then that means you mean a lot to me, because there's so much that you can read into with those playlists, and it's like a new level. Because what that does is they might ask, okay, what does that mean? What does this song mean to you? Because obviously it means something, because you got a tear running down your chin, or you're just you're singing along just really, really loud with a smile on your face. There's something behind it that means something. Well, that's all part of opening up. And if I'm going to tell you the meaning of the song, or the meaning of a story or a book, or just anything like that, to me that's getting to know somebody on a personal level. And for an introvert, let's be honest, there's nothing really, I don't know if there's anything scarier than opening up to somebody, mainly because what you do at that point is you're vulnerable. It's kind of like you're ripping your chest open. Here's your heart beating, and it's like they could take a knife and just jab it and just be done with it. And you leave yourself vulnerable, and that's one thing that I'm really, really careful with, is I don't let myself get vulnerable. Now, that's probably not good, and it's probably not the best way of handling it. And I'm sure at some point there's going to be some therapists that are going to listen to these podcasts, and they're going to think, Sean, no, you're going about this completely the wrong way. And I'm not going to deny it's the wrong way. The problem is this is the way I have learned to process things and how to get through things. And like I said, it's not always the best way. So I'm hoping that some of you probably don't take some, and do some of the things that I'm talking about. But I'm hoping there's something in these podcasts that you can take, and it will help you. But closing yourself off from your feelings, and I'm 100% guilty of, like I said, this is a tough episode for me to get through. But closing yourself off 100% to your feelings has its own side effects. It has its own bad things that go right along with it. Now, and I've been told many, many times, I've been called Fort Knox, because it's impossible to break through and get to know the real me. It's impossible to know what makes me me, what makes me tick, what are my likes, what are my dislikes, anything like that. And I'll be honest, to me, that makes me very happy when they say that, because that means that I've got my walls up, I've got myself protected. You can take a grenade and launch it at me while you're trying to break into my inner sanctum, and you're not going to get through, because that wall, I have worked very, very hard to protect myself. Now, like I said, that's probably not the best way of doing it, but being an introvert and being hurt so many times, you get to a point where you don't know any other way. You just it's either that or completely shut down. And I can't shut down because, well, let's be honest, I got bills to pay, put food on the table, take care of my family. Little Willow that's laying right beside me right now, I got to make sure she's got puppy treats and she's taken care of. So I can't completely shut down. So you have to find other ways of still going to work, putting a smile on your face, finding a way to crack a joke, being there to help people every step of the way. And that is my way of doing it, is basically putting a wall up and not letting anybody in. Now, like I said, it's probably not the best way of doing it, but it's the only way that I know. For 49 years, that's all I know. That's the only way that I know how to protect myself, is to shut myself off and put a wall up. And we all know that's not the best way, because there's a chance that you might meet somebody and it could turn out to be, whether it's just a friendship or it's a loving relationship, you might end up missing it because you got everything closed off. They may try to find ways of breaking through that wall and to get through you and get to know you, but you've done so well on locking yourself up and protecting yourself. Because basically, I think of my heart, it's basically wrapped in chain link, and it's wrapped in barbed wire. It's super, super tight, so it's strangling it. And then from there, I take it and I throw it in a super thick, like 2-inch thick steel box. And from there, I lock it up there with lots of locks, and then I throw it in concrete, and then I pour concrete around it, and then it's locked up. And then I take through the concrete, and then I put it in the ground, several feet under, and I cover it up, and I put grass on it so nobody can find it. And that's what I do to protect myself is, okay, there's nobody that's going to want to take the time to get to know me, because there's so many layers there of getting to know me. And unless you have the key to break through all of that, you're not going to get to know me. And like I said, it's probably not the best way, but I've talked to so many people, and there's so many people that are that way too. That's the only way they know how to survive and get through this cruel world. And if this world was more understanding and more accepting, I think that more people could be open, and you would have less chances of being hurt. Unfortunately, that's not the way. So for us introverts, and I'm sure there's extroverts out there that are the same way, but the difference between introverts and extroverts is extroverts don't mind if they get tromped on from time to time with their emotions, because they're so strong and so powerful. They're amazing. Us introverts, it doesn't take much to basically shut us down and kick us around a little bit, and then we just shut down, done, finished. I'm checking out. I've walked away. I'm not doing anything more. And that's where, I have extrovert friends, and I envy them for that, because it's like, you guys can bounce back so easily from this stuff. And I can't. I've never figured out how to be able to bounce back easily and to make it work. So, for me, to be called Fort Knox, to me, that's a compliment anymore. Because it's just like, okay, well, you're not going to get to know me. And the thing that I've also learned through the years is most people are not going to take the time to go layer by layer and give me the time to open up and talk to them. Most of the time, in this instant world, literally everything has to be handed to you on a silver platter, and they have to have all the information, they have to have all the goodies, they have to have the participation awards, everything instantly. Everything's instant messaging, emails, downloading everything. I mean, it's crazy. Everything has to be instant anymore. So to me, if you're not going to put the time in to get to know me a little bit and give me time to open up, then I'm not going to give you access to the inner sanctum of getting to know me. And I know there's a lot of introverts that are out there that are the same way. And that there, honestly, I don't think is a bad thing, mainly because everything is put on social media anymore. I mean, they put their dinners on there, they put their, their dates on there, they put their thoughts on there, and their clothing choices. And everything's, if you want to know somebody, good Lord, go to their Facebook page or whatever they're on. Yes, I'm old and stuff there. I still use Facebook, and I don't get on all the other social media much. But if you want to know about, especially the younger generation, which breaks my heart, it's all on there. It's all you got to do is just go to their page, and there's literally everything. It's not like there's any mystery. There's not like any challenge to get to know somebody anymore. But for us introverts, I don't put my whole life on social media. I have stuff there that, I do for, the podcasts and everything else. But for my personal stuff, I don't. I don't put it out there, because once you put it out there, it's out there. And I'm too old school. I have no idea. I'm sure you could probably, delete it or get it back or something there. But let's be honest, I'm old. I'm Atari 2600 old. So when it comes to social media, I am not the best at it. And I'll be honest, I struggle with it, trying to keep up with all of it there for my podcasts alone. So to put all my personal stuff on there, it's just not going to happen. So I have plenty of reasons why, in the past and stuff there, why I don't open up. I mean, people, after I started talking to them, friends or so-called friends, after I open up to them, they talk about the stuff that we talked about in private to everybody. It's like it made an open book of me just instantly, and they think it's funny. They use my personal life against me at work. That's why one thing that when I become a manager, it's just like, I can't share with you because I can't take the risk. I have to work here, and I still have to have the respect to you people there to be able to manage you. And if I start getting into my personal life and then things go south and you start using it against me, well, it just leaves me out hung to dry and stuff. The ridicule from school kids and stuff, and other work colleagues and things there, came back to bite me, and that took us many, many times. And the hardest lesson I think I probably learned was back in 7th grade when I was in junior high, And I had wrote back in the day, back in the 80s, we wrote notes. You didn't send text, you didn't just send an email or whatever they do these days and stuff there. You actually wrote on a piece of paper, and you found a way to get it to the person that you loved through channels. You sent it through a friend, the friend gave it to that person or something like that there. And I remember one day, I was coming out of English class, and I somehow don't remember. It's too long ago, let's be honest. It's 30 plus years ago. I don't remember how I ended up getting it to her, and I'm not going to release the lady's name on the podcast because I'm just not going to throw anybody under the bus. But I somehow found my note, and it made it to her. And the first thing that I wrote on there is, please don't tell anybody that I wrote you this, because these are my feelings. And somehow, some way, fate, I don't know what it was, as I was walking out of my English class to go to the next class because it was just dismissed, she was walking down the hallway. She didn't see me coming out of the room, but she had a friend with her, and they both were looking at the note, and I could tell because I could see my writing as it went by, and they both were laughing and making fun of me when I saw them and they were reading my note. That broke my heart right there, and that was a very, very hard lesson to learn. And from that point on, it was very difficult to get to know me. And something like that probably shouldn't have been a defining moment in my life to shut down, but I tried it a couple other times, and I had the same result. The people made fun of me. They thought, basically I was goofy. I was a nerd in school. I played chess, all that stuff. And I wanted to be a teacher, so I was always helping the teachers out in the classroom. So you were just naturally hated at that point. And I just learned the hard way that you just don't open up to anybody. You keep everything closed off. And I just didn't. I only had a couple of relationships all through junior high and high school. I really didn't talk to many people. I didn't have many friends. I just stayed pretty much to myself. And one thing that I learned is that's part of being an introvert. And I thought it was a bad thing growing up. And I didn't know what an introvert was while I was growing up. And that was a whole different... I got to be honest. When I started researching who I was 15 years ago after my divorce and everything else there, and after the marriage came to an end, and I had to figure out who I was, learning about being an introvert was probably one of the greatest things that I ever learned about, because I was doing things and I didn't realize why I was doing them until I started doing some research on what it meant to be an introvert and who we are. And it explained a lot of why I struggled to open up, because I was scared about being vulnerable with somebody, for them knowing me, and just scared of just talking to somebody else, because it was just like, I don't know how the information that I was talking about was going to be received. And there was too many times that I would talk about personal things with people, and there were times that I would never see them again. I don't know if I scared them off. I still don't know to this day what happened. Or they would laugh at me because they thought it was funny, and it wasn't. I mean, we're talking to some of the stuff was deep hurt, and they thought it was funny, and then they realized, oh, you're not joking. No, I'm not joking. I was trying to be open and honest with you and get to know you on a personal level, but apparently that isn't going to happen. So being vulnerable, which is to me being weak, is not a good look on me. So I stay away from it. You worry about sharing your feelings with others, to see, how, if it's going to be reciprocated. Are they going to talk to you back? Are they going to be as equally open with you as what you are being with them? That's why another reason why you struggle to open up. Basically, another one that you can learn from, you could have learned where the relationships in your own family could have basically torpedoed you from opening up, because you may not, it could be where I didn't have the greatest relationship with with my father, unfortunately, and I wish it would have been better. It just wasn't there. So I could never open up to him anyway and talk to him, because he was really, really old school, where, the men don't talk about your feelings, you bury everything. And that's why I am who I am today, is because you just don't process anything. You don't talk about anything. You compartmentalize it, you lock it away, and you don't worry about it. You just let it, I guess, sit and fester and turn into poison, and sooner or later, I guess it just wipes you off the face of the earth. Another thing is, why you struggle to open up is the negative feelings you have about yourself sometimes, because you're so scared, because it's kind of like, maybe I'm weird, maybe I'm different, maybe I'm, what are they going to think of me? Am I so far out there that people are never going to be able to accept me for who I am? And that is, I mean, there's plenty of people there that, they're going to kind of look at you a little bit funny. And I've had that many times when I start to talk to people. I have very strong emotions. And sometimes when I start talking about them, they can really come across super strong, and it can overwhelm people. And a lot of introverts are that way. They have emotions, they have feelings and all that stuff, just like everybody else. The problem is when we start talking about it, sometimes it's like a flood. It's just like, here it all comes, it's like a dam broke. And you just don't know how to stop it, because basically we haven't talked to anybody, we haven't had anybody really listen, or anybody to really care about listening and learning about us. So then when you actually do find somebody that you can talk to, and you can allow your walls to come down a little bit, it's almost like a flood of emotions that start to overwhelm you, and you don't know how to stop at that point, because they have been locked up and basically harbored up for so many years that once they start running, it's tough to get them to stop. And I've never been able to figure out, even me, I mean, when people ask me certain questions, there's times that I'll duck a question with a question. I admit it, I've gotten very good at that. I've gotten very good at diverting somebody's attention when they ask a personal question about me. Unless they take the time and realize what I'm doing, and they come around and ask the question again, and then I realize, they're actually listening. So then I have a tendency to talk about, if there's 100% of the situation that you could talk to, I may open up about 10% of it. I never open fully up about everything that I have to talk about. And to get up to that 100%, they have to actually invest time in getting to know me, and taking the time and want to know, and genuinely show they want to get to know me, and it's hard. Being an introvert is so very difficult, because we actually do want to talk. We like talking, but we have to feel comfortable with that person. And then on top of it all, to talk about private stuff, personal stuff, it is so difficult. So if you're somebody that's attracted to an introvert, and you're trying to figure out how best to go about getting to know them, the only thing that I can say is you've got to give them time to open up. You have got to give them time to come around on their own, because the more you push them, and the harder you basically just keep trying to chip away at the ice, which you have to do, but you have to do it in a regulated, don't do it all at once. Do it little at a time. And I know it may seem aggravating to do it that way, but I'm gonna be honest. The more you give an introvert time to open up, and just allow them to come around on their own 2 feet and at their own speed, you're going to get somebody that is so incredibly dedicated to you, and cares about you, and even loves you. You would be really surprised. But you're going to have to understand, it's going to take time to break through those barriers and those walls, because we just don't talk to people. Most of us are exceptionally good listeners. We like listening to people's problems. We like helping where we can, mainly because we don't have to talk about ourselves at that point. And like I said, it's probably not the best way. It's probably not the most healthy way, but I'm sure there's a lot of other introverts that are like me out there, and even extroverts. I'm sure they run into this as well. You get so tired of opening up and trusting people, and especially if you're a man, you get so used to being shot down all the time when you try to talk to somebody, or you're trying to find a partner, and you want to open up to them, but yet you don't. As soon as you start, it seems like you're just encountering resistance, because it's like, why don't you just tell me the whole story so we can just get through this and I get to know you better? It doesn't work that way with us introverts. It's step by step, little by little. You're gonna get information, and it's probably gonna drive your partner that's trying to get to know you. It's gonna drive them crazy. I'm not gonna lie about that. And I'm sure I've lost friends. I'm sure back in the day, I lost partners and stuff, their girlfriends at that time. I'm sure I lost friends because of it, because they just wanted it now. They wanted to know, they wanted to understand the hurt or the happiness, or why I did things a certain way. But to me, you're never going to get all that information all at once, and that will never change. Unfortunately, I am who I am. I'm happy with who I am. But if you want to take the time, invest it, and get to know me, the more you give me time to open up to you and get to trusting you, once I trust you, it's almost impossible to lose that trust, because it takes so long to earn it. Because I want to make sure that, if I'm going to dedicate my time to you and dedicate, and it doesn't have to be just a loving relationship, it could be just a friendship. But once you've earned my trust and I feel comfortable around you, it's almost impossible to lose me as a friend. I mean, you can say whatever you want to me. It's all kept in confidence. It's all locked away. And that's when I'll start talking to you and opening up. So I try to figure out, why is it important to open up to others? And mainly because I was worried about, okay, am I just going about this wrong? Am I just too locked up? Which is very possible. I've worked very hard at building my walls and protecting myself all the way, as much as I absolutely possibly could. But I wanted to see, okay, well, if I'm going to be talking to you kind folks out there, and you're my extended family, and if I'm going to try to find a way to help you guys a little bit and maybe go in the right direction, kind of like what I need to, I was trying to figure out, why is it important to open up to others? And it comes down to sharing positive and negative emotions with the other person, which we've kind of talked about and stuff there, because that deepens your personal relationship with either your friend or your partner. The more they get to know about you, which we all know, that you feel more connected to them, you feel more relatable to them, and that is very important to do. So that way, basically, you can form good relationships. Now, I have 3 or 4 at the extreme most people that I allow into my life, and that's it. If they want to know something, then I'll tell them. If they say that I hurt them or I upset them, I genuinely take that to heart, because when you say that, you're breaking my heart, and I don't want to do that. So I do everything I can to try to make sure that I'm always taking care of them, I'm always helping them, I'm always there for them. But once they've earned that, and they start showing me that they're there for me, they're there to listen, they're not there judging me. I mean, that's a huge thing. Don't judge me. I am who I am. The moment you start judging me, that's it, done. I won't ever open up to you again. It's just not going to happen. So it takes a long time to find somebody that is genuinely caring and loving, that wants to get to know me. And, basically, another important reason to open up to others, it improves your connection to others, which helps you down the road. There is, once you start getting to know them, then you can start, if you do have a bad day or you have a good day, they get to be there for you every step of the way. They can help build you up. And if you are high, they get to share as part of your high. So that way, it's not always just about being down and them supporting you. It helps out. It also helps you understand your own emotions better. And what I mean by that is, basically, if you start talking about your emotions, you know where they're coming from, you know how they're generated, you know how they feel. And if you can understand yourself more, it allows you to articulate your words a little bit better to the people and get to understand, they can understand your feelings just that much better. But it's very, very hard to even understand your own emotions, let alone trying to explain them to somebody else, because, I'll be honest, I'm an author, I've written books, I talk on a podcast, and, I do pretty good with words. I'm not the greatest at them, but when it comes to understanding emotions, that's like a whole different ball game. I mean, emotions are crazy, unpredictable. And there's no easy way of saying it. Emotions are powerful. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones, there's some that are it could go either way depending on whatever you're going through at the time. But understanding your own emotions can sometimes help open up to others, because then you say, okay, this is what I mean, or this is where we're going with this, so that way they understand where you're coming from. It helps reduce stress and anxiety. That is a huge thing. Mainly, that's going to be really, really good. It's like if you have a bad day at work, or, a bad day with your partner, or the kids are getting you down, or God forbid, your fur babies are, like mine, decide to rip a hole in the wall. And it's like, oh, you're killing me, kid. But what it does is it allows you to talk to somebody, and that's going to reduce your stress and anxiety, which is going to be better for your health. And I talk a lot about reducing stress and anxiety, especially for your weight loss journey like what I'm on. And if you ever listen to my weight loss journey episodes in the podcast and stuff, you're going to hear me talk about stress and anxiety quite a bit. That goes a long way with that can derail your weight loss journey. And and then you have to, then you go hit the cookies and the brownies and the cake and the French fries and everything else that's bad for you. So this, opening up will help reduce stress and anxiety. And by doing that, it's going to improve your confidence. You're going to feel a little bit better because you understand what you're talking about, how you're feeling. I think it's going to help you all the way across the board because it's going to make you stronger as a person, especially when you can find the couple people, if you're lucky enough to find a couple people in your entire life that you can open up and be your true self with. That is something that is so comforting. And it takes a long time to find those people. And you know that. I mean, you go through this on a daily basis, and I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know. But anything to try to boost your self-confidence is going to go a long ways. It's going to help you through life. It's going to help you at your job, and that'll help you open up to others to be the best person that you can. Once you finally find that person you can talk to, and it might help you go through new experiences as well. You might go to a concert, or you might try some new food that you never thought you'd ever like, or go on a trip that you never would have thought of. And because you're talking to people and you're making them a part of your life, you get to hear what their dreams and desires are. You get to hear what makes them them, and that can help you as well, because you might find something where you guys connect on an emotional level. But if you're like me, where you keep yourself closed off constantly and locked up and away from people, you miss out on those things. And I know that I'm missing out on some relationships, and they probably could be better relationships, but the problem is when you've been burned so many times, it is nearly impossible to reopen up back to people. But all I'm saying is, and this is advice for myself, is you have to keep trying, you have to keep moving forward, you have to keep trying to talk to people, even though that us introverts absolutely hate doing that. We hate opening up to people. It makes it very difficult to try to get through life. But hopefully that helps a little bit there and stuff there. If you're trying to figure out the best way to open up in a relationship, my best thing is be honest with the person, and you don't, like I said, you don't have to divulge everything right away, and I don't. Sometimes it takes years before I'll fully talk about something that bothered me or a defining moment in my life. But one thing is, I'm always honest with the people. It may not be the most direct way of being honest, but there's you can come at it at a different angle and talk to the person. They can ask you a question, and you can come up with, and it's basically lawyer lingo, I don't know how else to put it, is it's the truth from a certain point of view. But what it does is it allows you to kind of push your feet into the water and try it out and see, okay, are they going to be able to handle this? Can I trust them with this information? Can I trust them with who I am? And are they going to use it against me down the road? And this allows you to, if you do it slowly, it allows you to get to know that person while they get to know you, and you can find out if they're going to hide that information and protect it, because basically they're protecting you, and that means that they mean something to you. And that's what I do with anybody that I allow in my life, is I make sure that, there's people that aren't even in my life anymore, and they have told me things that will never be released. It's locked in a vault, and it doesn't matter how much that they hurt me or how bad they were to me. I'll never release that information because it was important to them. And it was a deep conversation at the time. I am never going to use that information against them, no matter how bad they've hurt me. And trust me, there have been times that I wanted to use that information against them. But I know what it felt like when they used it against me. So I know that pain, I know that heartbreak, I know that hurt, and I'm not gonna lower myself down to do that. So, but I've always been honest with anybody that I've allowed into my life. It's just mainly because, there's no reason to lie to them, because what's that going to do? You may get down 6 months down the road, and then they're going to find that lie, and they're going to think that last 6 months, everything's a lie at that point. So just being honest, is probably the best way. Share your feelings with your friend or your partner, and I know that's difficult, but that's how you get to open up one of the things is share your feelings. It's terrifying, and I know just saying that almost put goosebumps on my skin, because it's kind of like, okay, if I share my feelings, then I'm basically opening myself up for a calamity. They could use whatever they want to against me, or they could hurt me with it, or whatever they wanted to do with it. Basically, at that point, then I'm an open book. I don't have any way of defending myself against my own feelings at that point. But you have to, at some point, you have to start sharing your feelings with your friends or your partner, because that emotional bond is huge for healing, for stress and anxiety relief. It'll just help you all the way down there. And like I said, this is a hard episode for me to get through, because I don't share my feelings hardly at all. And I'm sure my family that listens to this podcast after it's been published and stuff is probably screaming. They're probably hoarse by yelling at the speakers in their cars or on their computer, yelling at me saying, listen to your own advice, Sean. You're telling everybody else to do it, but you're not doing it yourself. And they're absolutely 100% correct. That's why, I have a hard time getting through, this whole episode, because it's kind of like, I don't like do as I say, not as I do. And I've always hated that. And I've made sure I've never done that when I've been in management or as a father or a friend. And so it makes it really, really hard about this, because it's kind of like everybody wants to just scream at me and say, listen to your own advice. And they're absolutely right. So learning to share my feelings and stuff there, while, it helps me open up and stuff. I do have a couple people that I do, but it's always terrifying for me. Even I have friends that I've had for over a decade, some that are approaching, there's one friend that I've known for over 3 decades. And I still don't fully open up even to him. So I've never learned how to be 100% open with anybody. I mean, like I said, back when I was young, back when I was in elementary school and then beginning of junior high, man, I was an open book. There wasn't anything, but honestly, at that age, you really don't have much to protect. But after my note being read by the girl that I had a huge, huge crush on, and then her laughing at it with her friend and poking her finger at the note and stuff there, I learned a valuable lesson at that point is keep your feelings and your emotions locked up. And like I said, it's not a healthy way of doing about it. Us introverts, we do have to at some point start trusting people. And I know it's difficult, and I know my introvert family out there is just yelling at me saying, yo, Sean, you know what, that's terrifying. How am I going to do this? I've been hurt before. Yes, you've been hurt before. Yes, I have been hurt before. But we have to keep trying. We have to keep trying to, find that person to bond with. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a person that you love, that you fall in love with. It's going to be a partner. It could be just a friendship. And you'll find that person. And I really, really hope to God that you guys already have somebody like that you can talk to. But just keep trying to open up, and I will. I'm going to try to take my own advice. I have come a long ways. I did a lot of changing, especially with when I decided on my weight loss journey that I started 19 months ago. At that point, I decided I needed to let go a lot of dark stuff, a lot of poison, a lot of resentment, a lot of grudges that I had built up inside me. And some of them I didn't even know I was harboring them anymore. I just knew I was harboring them, but I didn't know why I was harboring them. So I've had to do a lot of purging of that stuff out of me to try to make my weight loss journey happen. And it's the same way as being an introvert, is trying to allow people into my life. There's certain people that you want allow into your life, and I've done it to where I've made that mistake where I start trusting the wrong person because I want them in my life so bad. So I feel that if I start talking to them and telling them personal things, they're gonna appreciate what I'm telling them and accept me into their life. Well, it doesn't always work that way, and I'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, it has never worked out for me. But the trick is to keep trying and keep moving forward. And just know that you're going to make mistakes while you're going through it when you talk to people, when the people talk to you about their emotions and stuff, and just be understanding. They may say one thing, but they mean another, or they may have to revise it or change it, or just be flexible. Just know that they're trying, and when you talk about emotions, they're powerful. They're tough to talk about, and sometimes you may mean one thing, but it's actually another thing that you're talking about. So just be understanding with your friends and your partner that you're going to make mistakes while you're being emotional. Just give them the time to basically come around and say, okay, this is what I really meant. Give a chance to straighten everything out, but don't hold it against them. It's okay. give them a chance to breathe a little bit. And because when emotions start coming out, it's like, holy smokes, here they come. Especially for us introverts that have held them in for so long. It's like when I start talking about personal things or sensitive things, once I allow you in and I start talking about them, man, I could talk your ear off for 3 hours and not even hardly take a breath. So, and I know there's other introverts that are like that out there. So just give it time and just know you're going to make mistakes along the way while you're trying to talk about your feelings and trusting somebody to come into your life. They're going to make mistakes while they're talking about their feelings and trying to allow you into their life. So just give them, just be a little understanding, be a little, flexible, and things will work on. So, but all in all, just don't cut yourself off from your feelings. And I can hear my family screaming into their speakers saying, just Sean, knock it off. You're saying this, but you do this. And they're absolutely right. Just try, and I'm trying not to cut myself off from my feelings because I just lock it all away because that's one, it was the way I was raised. And two, it's the way I've protected myself. But us introverts have to keep trying. We have to keep stretching out a little bit. Just take baby steps, put a toe in the water to find out if somebody's going to be able to handle what you want to talk to them about. Because there's a lot of good people out there, and we just have to give them a chance to get to know us, and they just have to give us a chance to get to know them. And hopefully they will give us the chance to open up at our speed, layer by layer. Yes, it kind of stinks to get to know, but in some ways it's actually really, really fun too, because it's like you're always getting to know that person that you think highly of, or you love, or you want to be there for. And it's always cool because I have friends that I've had, over a decade. I am still learning things about them. I think it's great. And I've been told before by other folks and stuff there that they're offended. It's like, well, why didn't you tell me that before? Well, that's because getting to know somebody and talking to them as you go through life, they may not remember at that time that feeling or that memory or that emotion, but whatever you're going through now triggered that emotion, and now they want to talk to you about it. So to me, it's fantastic to always be learning about somebody there, always learning about a new experience they have, or a song that they like, or somebody that they loved, or just something funny. I mean, it's always fun to get to know the person little by little. I don't, if I had the option to literally have their entire life put on a screen in front of me, and there's all the sensitive stuff, there's all the hurtful stuff, there's all the fun stuff, there's all their favorite songs, their favorite foods, I wouldn't want it, because I think it would be so much better to slowly get to know somebody, because it's always fun at that point, because it's kind of, hey, I didn't know that about you. That is really cool. It's amazing as you learn and you get to share your experiences, because there's going to be times that you're not going to share everything there with that person because you may not have thought about it. But that emotion, that smell, that song, that food triggered a memory at that point, and then you want to open up to that person. So once you find that person, or if you're lucky to have 2 or 3 people that you get to jabber with, to get to know, hey, that's fantastic. Just take your time to get to know, and hopefully they'll give you the time to open up at your own speed, because being an introvert, we have to do things at our own speed. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything out of us, because that's why, like I said, I get called Fort Knox. Unless you have the key, you're not going to get access to anything that makes me up. And that's just who I am, and that's how I've survived this long. And I'm probably never going to change, let's be honest. 49, and I'm not looking to change it anytime. But I'm hoping within, I have my 3 or 4 friends that I talk to. There's a couple of them that we have really, really deep conversations with. They have deep conversations with me. All the stuff that we talk about, that all gets locked up in my mind, and I don't share it with anybody. Even if we go separate ways, that information will always stay locked up, and I will never use it against them, because they're trusting me with their innermost, likes, desires, hurts, anything like that. And that's a great thing for them to trust you with, and you have to start trusting them with your everything that's sensitive to you too. So just take the time, know your worth. As a final thought for today, know your worth. Take the time. If they don't want to get to know you, they don't want to take the time to allow you to come out of your shell and talk to them, then they're not worth your time, because more than likely they're going to share that information and hurt you. So there's somebody else out there, but just know your worth. I mean, I know that sounds kind of funny, and it makes it sound kind of like you're better than everybody else, but not really. Just basically know this is who I am, and if you want to get to know me, take the time to get to know me, because I want to take the time to get to know you too. So hopefully, something about this podcast there will, help you all the way through this here. But I wanted to say thank you, as I always do. You guys are amazing. So please hit like, subscribe, share, comment, anything, and on any of the pages that you're listening to, because that moves me up in the search algorithms, and we get to add to our family at that point. So any positive comments you want to send over on my Facebook page, you're more than welcome to. I'm trying to figure out Twitter. I'm on there too. I'm not quite sure how I got all that stuff there. I'm on Reddit. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out, so be gentle with me. I'm not a social platform person, but I'm learning, so give me a little bit of time. So as I look at the screen, this should make you guys absolutely happy. It is now saying it's time for the dad joke of the day. So I thought, you know what, this is a pretty good one here, and I wanted to share this with you guys here. So if you guys are ready, here's the dad joke of the day to close out the episode. Do you know what you call an unpredictable camera? A loose cannon. I love it. I thought that was so cool. Thanks so much for listening. You guys are amazing. You guys have got this. I believe in you. Everything's going to work out for you. And as always, all my love and support, Sean.